There's been a lot made this NFL draft season about the wide receivers that will be eligible here in the 2014 draft, and it's certainly warranted. And we saw their exploits for all to see at the Combine. Certainly a lot of impressive performances. I just want to start this video off by talking about 4 of those guys and how they're particularly impressed scouts and front office personnel, both in interviews with their play on the field this past season and most notably at the Combine. And then in the end, I'll get to some news regarding Derek Carr, the Fresno State quarterback. But let's start with these receivers. And I want to start with Brandin Cooks. He's a guy that was on my top 5 underrated prospect list. I made that video about 3 weeks ago if you didn't check that out. Look, we know this guy can produce, right? Over 100 catches in college, wins the Biletnikoff Award. To me, he went from a guy that was probably a second-round pick before the Combine to a guy to me that I've seen on the top 20 of some big boards, and a guy that solidified his spot where I think he's going to get drafted between 20 and 32 in the first round, and a guy who's going to be of value to some team. I have him mocked most recently to the Cleveland Browns at 26, but any team that needs a receiver in that 20 to 32 range can get a guy that was tremendously productive. And oh yeah, a guy who ran a 4.33 at the Combine, the fastest of any wide receiver. From Brandin Cooks to the 2 top dogs in this class in Sammy Watkins and Mike Evans. All right, Sammy Watkins did nothing but impress at the Combine and solidify his status as, to me, the best playmaker in this draft and a top 5 player overall in this draft. My most recent mock, I have him going number 5 to the Raiders. I'd be surprised if he slips past pick 6 or 7 here. And look, a guy that's not the biggest guy, 6'1", 205 pounds, but a guy that's going to beat teams a lot of ways for you and be that dynamic weapon in the NFL that's so in demand. And then, of course, Mike Evans, who at 6'5", 230 pounds, to me what was impressive for him at the Combine was how fluid he was in his movements, how fluid he was in the drills, and he didn't play like a guy that was 6'5", 230. What I mean by that, not herky-jerky, not abrupt in his motions, but rather a free-flowing receiver that I think would fit beautifully opposite Calvin Johnson, which is why I have him mocked at pick number 10 to the Lions. And I'd be honest, I have him as a top 10 overall prospect now. If he didn't last until the Lions at 10, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. So keep an eye out for Mike Evans as he rises throughout this draft prospect. Truly a throw him up and let him get it wide receiver, which is all the rage right now, of course, in the NFL. And another receiver I wanted to hit on was Jarvis Landry. And if you talk to guys in the know, scouts, guys who are former scouts who are now analysts, they all rave about this guy. Yes, they like Odell Beckham, his teammate at LSU, but Jarvis Landry is a prototypical slot receiver who's not afraid to hit you in the jaw, okay, in the run blocking game. And that's important from a slot receiver, especially as a lot of teams go to these 3 wide receiver sets and run the football out of these 3 wide receiver sets. So look for Jarvis Landry to be a solid second-round pick. And again, a guy who's going to be a steal for someone. People compare him to Hines Ward, which to me as a slot guy is probably the ultimate compliment you can get paid. I think like Ward did, he could even play on the outside eventually in his career. But keep an eye out for Jarvis Landry, the wide receiver from LSU. And lastly, Derek Carr. Derek Carr's name has picked up steam here, as I predicted it would. Okay, before the Combine, I had said he's going to pick up steam because he's very intelligent, very personable, and he's going to impress in the interviews. And he already impressed at the Senior Bowl with his work ethic and his performance there. And you're slowly hearing whispers about teams thinking very highly of David Carr. I don't think they're smokescreens. I was resistant to the Vikings taking him at 8 at first. But look, that team needs a quarterback. And my most recent mock, I have him going to the Vikings. But I think some team in the top half of that first round is going to take Derek Carr. I think there's going to be 4. I'm starting to think more and more there'll be 4 quarterbacks that go there in the top half of the first round. And I think Carr will definitely be that 4th guy. Guys, let me know what you think of these rumors surrounding these receivers, most notably, and obviously Derek Carr, a name who's rising on a lot of draft boards. Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter as well. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, guys. I'm in the middle of my 7-round mock draft, so be sure to check that out. And if you subscribe, guys, it's completely free, and you get all my videos uploaded directly to your feed here on YouTube. So thanks for listening. Looking forward to the rest of the draft season. Have a great day.